Just around the bend from the Arches in St. Louis, you'll find this short king of tracks, World Wide Technology Raceway. For some, it'll be a chance to position themselves for a playoff run, or others, it's do or die. Welcome to another playoff edition of Around the Track. I'm Gabe McDonald. Gateway, St. Louis, WWTR. Whatever you call this track, it's ready to weed out who's ready to contend for a title. And we've got someone else here to help us do that. Cup and Truck Series driver Corey LaJoie tells us which of his peers is ready to take the next step towards the championship. So why wait? We're heading to NASCAR's Gateway this weekend. Looking for an oddball track? Well, you found it. At just 1.25 miles, Gateway is the epitome of a quirky track. A very flat track which forces you to get through all the gears on every lap if you want to find the right combination of handling and speed. Turns 1 and 2 are completely different than 3 and 4. We'll let Corey explain that one shortly, but weather plays a factor too here as well. We're used to seeing this track when it's hotter out. Now that the fall is here, temps are a bit down, making it tougher to pass. But on the upside, tire fall off won't be such an issue this weekend. No matter how you cut it, if you want to survive, you better find a way to conquer the Gateway.
Our team's definitely done a lot of work on those tracks and trying to be better at them. So yeah, I think that we had a test at Gateway a few weeks ago, and then we took a lot of that stuff to Iowa, and then I just feel like we've just tried to apply, week by week.
That's probably the tracks we're looking forward to the most. It's going to be the tracks, mile-ish, pretty flat. Usually are our best tracks. With that said, I think we can win anywhere. We've proven that in the past too. So it's really about capitalizing every opportunity that comes your way.
These are 1 mile flat tracks that you better perform well at. You better have a good setup for it, and we feel like those are typically our strong suits with the 11 car.
Well, let's not waste any more time and start breaking down this race with a guy who's driven it multiple times. When he's not behind the wheel of the 01 Stack and Penny Chevy Camaro, he's dishing out the knowledge from the set of NASCAR on Prime. A good friend of the program, Cup Series driver Corey LaJoie. Corey, what's good, my friend? How you been?
Not too much. Been hanging out with my kids, growing this mustache. Life is good in the LaJoie household.
How's the growth been on the mustache? How long have we been growing this thing out?
It's been strong. Been strong. Somebody called me the Lorax the other day, so I don't know if I took that as a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it. Nonetheless, the wife hasn't shaved it in my sleep. So as long as we're good to go, the wife doesn't mind it. We're going to keep it eating until November here in a couple months.
There you go. You're getting off to a good start there. Well, we just told the good folks at home, Gateway, certainly an odd track on the circuit. It drives like a short track, extremely flat with different types of drives at opposite ends of the track. How do drivers really attack such a place with all these quirks?
Yeah, it's one of the more unique tracks we go to because you downshift twice into turn 1 because the radius of turn 1 and 2 is much tighter than 3 and 4. It's got a bit of banking. And you can really carry some speed into the bank there. It gives you some different lane options, but track position here is of the utmost importance. You see a lot of guys take rights, see a lot of guys take fuel only to really take and keep that track position all day. You don't get a lot of tire deg or tire degradation, we call it. So generally speaking, if somebody gets a lead, they can kind of control the day.
Absolutely, and definitely the weather's going to play a part too. Well, after Darlington, the Cup Series playoff standings really got thrown on its head a little bit. The seeding has been thrown out the window after that first race. Chase Briscoe's win sends him directly into the next round. Then you have Tyler Reddick, who was the biggest mover after race 1. He goes from below the cut line to now 4th, 35 points above the cut line. Defending champion Joey Logano now 3 points behind Shane Van Gisbergen for that final transfer spot. Now SVG started as a 6th seed, winning those 4 races in the regular season. Now he's already in trouble. We're going to talk more about him in just a little bit, but 2 more races to figure things out. But Logano, Bowman, Berry, and Dillon currently facing elimination. Of those 4, which one can crawl their way out with the win this weekend?
Oh, I don't, as much playoff points that SVG had in the bank with those 4 road course wins, he has burned all of them up at Darlington. He had a really tough day. Strategy didn't work out for him, so you see him +3 with 3-time Cup champion on the outside looking in. Joey, it's hard to bend against that guy when his back's against the wall. Team Penske has a great grasp on Gateway. Joey is the one who probably, you said earlier, win or go home.
Yeah.
I feel like the 22 group, Paul Wolf, Joey Logano, really need no win here this weekend.
Absolutely been very strong and have been able to get it done before. So certainly taking those notes from that race to implement them into this weekend. And we just talked about it. Shane Van Gisbergen certainly in trouble. Winning the rookie record 4 races during the season, only 3 points up on Logano for that final spot. Further proving that no one is really safe once we hit the postseason. Now, Corey, we know there isn't a road course until round 2, so how does SVG hold off the Hounds, or can he get it done over these next couple of weeks?
Oh, man, I know, Shane talked to him. I've got a great relationship with him, man. was not happy about Sunday night because they knew they needed to average a 17th place finish between these next 3 races at Darlington, Gateway, and Bristol. And these next 2 weeks are going to be challenging. So they're going to need a little bit of a Hail Mary, block and tackle, but you see some of the guys on the outside looking in, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman.
Yep.
Uncharacteristic off weekend for Hendrick Motorsports last week, so I anticipate those guys really jumping the gun. So he's got some hungry guys behind him. I don't know how you hold on if you're SVG. Just do all you can do and try to get the best finish.
Absolutely, especially with a place like Bristol coming up next week where you never really know what can happen, whether somebody dominates or there's a lot of tire fall off, as we've seen recently. Well, we do have a few surging teams late in the season, one of which has been the drivers in the playoffs, 23-11. But what's really gotten into Legacy Motor Club as of late? You think about rising results for both Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek in the 43 and 42 respectively. Yes, it's a little too late for this season, but they've really been starting to put it together. Corey, of the 4 drivers in both camps, all Toyota, mind you, what's the future hold for both these teams, especially when you factor in some of the off-track stuff going on right now, too?
Well, if you look at the guys, Jimmy Johnson and his entire group are hiring, Brian Campy on the engineering side. Obviously, we know what Eric Jones is capable of when he's sitting on a fast horse. John Hunter Nemechek, winner in all the levels up until the Cup Series here. Awesome to see those guys, both cars in the top 5 at Darlington last week. As you mentioned, too little, too late, but that's still not too early to ever build towards next year and keep that momentum going. Now, this sport is cyclical, though. You can hit on a 1 week and completely be out to lunch the next week. So it's how can Legacy raise the floor of what a bad day is? We've seen what a bad day is for them. It's in the 30s. So how can you take the peaks of Darlington last week and get rid of the valleys and try to bring that floor up to be in the top 20 team, and those guys should be playoff contenders next year.
Absolutely. I mean, 23-11 too. I mean, still, quite a year for them. Tyler Reddick, how big was that for him to really make up the ground that he did last weekend at Darlington too?
We all expected Tyler to go have a good day at Darlington. If he didn't, that's when you pull the fire alarm saying, hold the phone, this 45 group is missing something bad. But also Bubba's having a really sneaky playoff, had a last real sneaky, productive last bit of a regular season championship run. Man, I like where the 23 is at with all the noise, all the commotion of the lawsuit and all the things, microphones in your face each and every week. Those guys are putting the noise behind them and going to get some work done here, and I expect those guys to be strong this weekend as well.
About getting it done on the track. Well, Corey's sticking around, but we've got more playoffs to talk about, and it's not just the guys who drive on Sundays either.
Have had our struggles, been ran into a lot this year, and just have not a season you'd probably draw up for yourself, but
the Silver Shell is virtually a lock to make next week's Xfinity Series playoffs, but not quite yet. Who else is teetering on exiting early? Xfinity update is on deck. And silly season is closer than you think. NASCAR's free agency might be getting another name added to its list if one driver doesn't turn it around fast. Who our insiders are telling us is on the hot seat is coming up next. And Corey, is there a reason we've got a few of these hanging around in the studio right now?
Well, you always need a red kickball around just in case something breaks out. So you always got to keep those hamstrings warmed up and loose.
Hey, you never know. Coming up next, why he's trading in his fire suit for a dirt diamond. We got more around the track coming up next. Back here on Around the Track, when it comes to Corey's old ride, the heat is on. Insiders tell ATT that Justin Haley could be removed from the 7 at Spire Motorsports by season's end. Those same insiders tell us that there was thought about replacing him before the end of the season. You'll remember last year we had what seemed to be NASCAR's first driver trade when Corey and Haley swapped cars from Spire to Rick Ware Racing. The 26-year-old does have a Cup win to his name in a rain-shortened Daytona summer race back in 2019. Gabe McDonald, NASCAR Cup and Truck Series driver Corey LaJoie back with us. The LaJoie family knows a thing or two about the Xfinity Series. Corey's dad, Randy, a Hall of Famer for what he did in that series. And Corey, you've driven your fair share of Grand National races, as some call it. What's the biggest difference between those Xfinity and Cup cars?
Man, it's probably been a decade since I've driven one of those Xfinity cars, but they have a lot less downforce. You're slipping, sliding around. But driving these trucks last couple weeks, it's been a blast, man. They have a lot of drag. They don't have much power, and you really got to be in the loud pedal, which is always fun. So would love to drive anything, but obviously Cup cars are one of my favorite things to drive. The power, just the racecraft, and the competitors are as elite as it gets.
Hey, no doubt that's what it's all about on Sundays. And while the Cup Series playoffs are in full swing, this is the final race before the Xfinity Series playoffs start. Connor Zilisch, of course, nothing to worry about. The winner of 8 races, including 2 pinch hit wins in that 88 car. Junior Motorsports is absolutely rolling. And his teammate and reigning Cup Xfinity Series champion Justin Allgaier also win, as is Sammy Smith, who's looking to continue the legacy of Dale Jr.'s 8. Xfinity rookie car Squapple also locked into the playoffs. Someone looking to knock him off, Agent 00. That's Mr. Sheldon Creed. He's a near lock for the playoff, but still hasn't won yet. So what will it take for him to get over the hump?
Yeah, certainly want to stay, clean. So many things can happen during the race, and so many things have happened to us in races this year. So, yeah, want to go score points in both stages and have a shot at winning the race. If we can't win the race, then get us a good top 5 or top 3 finish. Would be great to just have a solid day like that and get some momentum and some confidence going in the team before the playoffs start.
And here's the full slate of playoff drivers in the Xfinity Series. Of course, the green name's already in. Crazy to think only one Joe Gibbs car is qualified, that being Brandon Jones in the 20. But Taylor Gray looks pretty safe at 60 points up, so we expect him in the top 12 come next week. The only real outlier at this point is in that final seat. Harrison Burton, 31 points above the cut line, but if he doesn't win, and someone does who's below him, he would be out. Real quick, Joey, Corey, who do you think could possibly sneak into that playoffs when you think about, obviously, the Cousins down there, low and above the cut line, making that a pretty interesting final week coming up?
Yeah, you're looking at that. It might make Thanksgiving dinner pretty tough if you got Harrison in, Jeb out, but those guys have really been racing around each other well. But it doesn't matter, man. This is the last cutoff race for those guys. So interested to see. I don't anticipate it going to be somebody from the outside punching their ticket to get in above those guys. It'll be somebody that might not be out, but above the cut line, blocking their way in.
Absolutely. Going to be an interesting opening race, too, going down to Bristol next week for the opener in the Xfinity Series. Well, we lean on Corey for a lot when it comes to racing, but he doesn't just have the need for speed. Mr. LaJoy, also a kickball aficionado. Corey, you host a kickball tournament every year in the Charlotte area, and this thing is certainly star-studded. I know you're excited about this being able to come back again for another year once the Roval weekend comes here in October.
Man, it really is one of my favorite days of the year. It's the Kickball Classic V, or year 5. All the proceeds we've raised to go to the Kannapolis YMCA. Some of your favorite race car drivers, media personalities, comedians, even Bob Pockers comes out here and kicks it around with us. We've had an absolute blast. We've had some great partners, great drivers, and great fans show up for that day as well. Man, we've continued to sell tickets on my website, CoreyLaJoyRacing.com, or you just show up October 2nd, Thursday of Roval weekend, guys. So if you're coming in to watch some NASCAR racing, come to the Atrium Health Ballpark where the Kannapolis Cannonballers play and come have a blast with us.
You don't want to miss it for sure. And we figured since this is now an event where celebs are begging to get in, you can take liberties with giving out some superlatives with some of the people partaking in this year's event. So let's start with one. Who is most likely to be the biggest home run hitting machine out there?
I'll tell you, man, last year SVG came out of nowhere. We've all seen how far he can kick a rugby ball. Well, it translates to a kickball. He hit it out of the freaking park. Unfortunately, he's keeping those calves nice and limbered up for the Roval that weekend, knowing that that's another chance for him to win. He's not going to be there. But we have some sneaky good kickers there as well.
Going to be looking forward to seeing them as well. And, of course, we got to get to another one. Who's most likely to be there to say that, they're just in to be there and maybe get a participation trophy out there?
I'll tell you, you really separate the wheat from the chaff there out there in the kickball pitch because, funny enough, the majority of race car drivers aren't athletes. And we might think that we are, but we're out there kicking it, can't catch, can't roll, can't throw, but we're out there having a good time raising some money for some good causes.
Y'all can do a little bit of something out there, but who's most likely to have a web gym? And for those at home who don't know what that is, it's the best play in the field out there.
Oh man, we do. On the contrary, we got race car drivers. We also have some great athletes. We've had Matthias Farley, he's a good friend of mine. He's out there catching balls that you didn't think could be caught. As we all know, one of my favorite, Coleman.
Yeah.
Kurt Coleman, God almighty, is he flies out there. So he's on my squad. I claim him a little home field advantage, but those two guys are unbelievable athletes, and it's really fun to watch them compete.
Yeah, former Panthers definitely going to make some big plays out there. And I think we know where this one is going, but who is most likely to argue a call with the ump out there once it gets going?
It's probably me. Because we're wanting to make a show out of it. Yeah. It's a little bit of a Savannah Bananas style kickball event, right? We're not dancing.
Right.
We're there to compete.
Somebody might bust out some moves, though.
I might bust out some moves. And, if there's a tic-tac call, let's get some runners on base. Let's get some runs going. Put a little entertainment out there for the fans.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. And you want to have some fun out there. Roval weekend going to be here before you know it in the Kickball Classic in its 5th year. And there you have it. Corey, when is the game? Just a reminder for the folks.
October 2nd. Thursday of Roval weekend. So I believe we're 4 weeks away. So put it on your calendar. October 2nd, Atrium Health Ballpark down in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
You heard it here first. You can watch it on YouTube or go in person if you're around in the Carolinas. We've got much more coming up on Around the Track, including this. It seems like we have a new development every week in the case between Michael Jordan's race team and NASCAR. What has NASCAR said to a judge? You're about to find out next, right here on Around the Track. Back on Around the Track with the latest in 2311 in Front Row's lawsuit against the sport. U.S. District Court Judge Kenneth Belt issued an order earlier this week denying both teams a preliminary injunction to regain charter status this season. Judge Belt states that with NASCAR setting aside 6 charters pending the outcome of the case, 2311 and FRM are not subject to irreparable harm. Both teams will continue to race as open teams for the remainder of the season, with the case set to go to trial in early December. Well, NASCAR Hall of Famer Jimmie Johnson is widely considered one of the greatest winners in NASCAR history. Johnson, who is now owner of Legacy Motor Club, is finding success to be a bit more elusive. But as Kevin Connolly found out, he's tackling this next chapter of his life much like he did as a driver, with everything he's got.
Jimmie Johnson is living his best life. He recently spent time playing in the Pro-Am at the Wyndham Championship PGA event in Greensboro.
The experience of golf has always been the social element, and to spend time with friends, spend time with partners. So it's kind of a dual-purposed event for me.
When he stopped driving full-time, he and his family lived overseas for a time.
Our time abroad was really based on a dream that my wife and I had to reward ourselves for the 20 years in NASCAR and live somewhere else and take our kids for that experience. And then while being in England, the experience we had, the doors that have opened for us personally, professionally, there's been a neat transformation for myself.
In January of 2025, he became the primary decision maker at Legacy Motor Club when the equity firm Knighthead Capital Management invested in the team. Drivers Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek are his full-time drivers, while Jimmie still runs an occasional race. He finished third in this year's Daytona 500.
I raced against him for a while, and then now to have him on the ownership side has been fun to watch and see, and he's been a great boss. He's been super competitive, obviously, and working hard to get our program better, and just to see his dedication to it and the effort that he puts into it and how much he cares about it, you know, it's definitely fun from my side.
Running for a championship is different than running the company.
Gosh, just how long it takes to implement change and to see the rewards from it. Being the driver, you know, you can tune on a shock, change a spring, adjust something, and instantly know if it's good or bad. And the ownership role and the decisions we make take months to see the outcome. And that part is something I didn't expect.
But that's not all. Being the owner is a 24/7 job.
The other component to it is the responsibility I feel for our employees and our people. I mean, I always had a sense of that before, but that was really Mr. Hendrick's concern. I had 15 to 20 that I was really close with and thought of the most. But now with 135 employees, soon to be 170, I go to sleep worrying about different things now than I ever have.
He doesn't bring out the rings, but you know that he's a 7-time champion and he has 83 Cup wins. So definitely one of the GOATs in our sport, and glad to have him in our corner and pushing us to be better every single week.
You can make the argument that Johnson is a top 5 driver all-time in NASCAR, and he's hoping to put Legacy on a similar trajectory.
Well, it was pure joy for Austin Cindric last year at Gateway, picking up his second career Cup win and punching a ticket to the playoffs. Can he have the same fortune this time around to advance in the playoffs? We got the odds from the books and our victory lane locks coming up next on Around the Track. Back here on ATT, and for the first time in a long time, Kyle Larson isn't in the top 3 for our DraftKings odds board. Your favorites heading into the weekends, Team Penske's Ryan Blaney and JGR's Christopher Bell, both at 5 to 1 to get it done. Both drivers into the playoffs, and of course have plus 500 odds. Denny Hamlin next at 6.5 to 1. Then we see Larson at 8.5 to 1 to get it done. Joey Logano rounds out the top 5 at 9.5 to 1 to get it done. Note last year's winner was Austin Cindric. This was actually the race that locked him into the playoffs, and he used it to get himself into round 2. We'll have to see. He sits at 16 to 1 heading into the weekend. Well, the house claims to always win, but if anyone is going to defy the odds, it is this guy right here. Corey, who you taking in the Cup race at Gateway this weekend to punch that ticket into the round of 12, or maybe a wild card that's not in the playoffs to get it done?
Yeah, I think a wild card and is kind of slow. Let's call it what it is. Yeah. Slow as Hendrick was last week. I think they're going to have pressure to really come back and perform. I'm going to look at the 24. And William Byron wasn't even on our draft board, right? Or odds board. I think he is an absolute stud. Gets around a place like this, flat, long corners, has a really good feel for the tire. So he's got my eye on this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. 24 car. Always strong week in, week out. We'll see if we can get it done to punch that ticket into the round of 12. Well, I'm not really going out on a limb here. I'm going with one of the favorites, Ryan Blaney. I think he's going to get it done and punch his ticket into the next round. Of course, everybody remembers last year, this track, it was heartbreak for the 12. Leading on the final lap before simply just running out of gas, allowing his teammate Austin Cindric to pass him and get the win. Don't see him having similar luck this time around. He's qualified 5th or better at Gateway in each race with a pair of top 10 finishes. 2025, the year he gets into victory lane here. Real quick before we wrap things up, a wild card out of the playoffs that you could see possibly being a threat this weekend, maybe?
No, I don't think so. I mean, those guys, the 16 best for the reason, right? Those guys have all the tricks all on display this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 14 of the 16 in the top 5.
We'll see you next week here on Around the Track. Enjoy this weekend's action at Gateway. We'll see you next week.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.